Hi, my name is Lauren Litchfield, and this is part three of my Transcending series that I'm trying to get together to help others uh, do their own transcending. And I know that the first two episodes were more of an explanation of why I am who I am and how I've come to know these truths. And the conclusions of what I've come up with. And this is the last uh, episode I will go into as far as the global ethical code, or the GEC. I feel that is going to save Earth because we're heading towards extinction, and it's not a good thing at all, because I have a son and I would like him to have an Earth one day. So let's get through 7 through 12 of the ethical codes, and then I will tell you about the first really big transcending experience I had. So number 7 is practicing sharing wisdom, continuously learning and understanding for free, because I don't even want to say knowledge is power, but knowledge is saving. If you are given and sharing the wisdoms you've come up with, it saves you, it saves the earth, it saves the other. That is what we were meant to do. Why else would we have language? Why else would we have consciousness? But to come up with our own wisdoms. Why else would we have separate identities? And again, I grew up without an identity. And I know that's a hard concept for everybody with identities out there to understand, but my identity did not come to me until a little after 30. And a lot of work on my part. But there is a need to be separate, and a part of society. And that to me is the encapsulation, or the two driving forces of what generates wisdom, which is what we are meant to provide. Number 8 is practicing having an open mind to act interdependently, fairly, and embrace others which may be different. And this is from understanding that others do have closed universes that they feel if anybody else undermines or has a different opinion about, they are somehow less than. But that's not the reality. In fact, embracing other perspectives and other beliefs is just it's almost a continuation of step 7, giving you loads more information, more wisdom, more understanding. And that is key to the superorganism that humanity is becoming in this global consciousness era, because the internet and social media has determined or set in motion that is where we are headed for the future. Number 9 is practicing solution resolutions rather than blaming, while using words and not violence. This comes from my experience as a family law attorney and having to deal with divorces. And there's so many emotions involved in divorces. And the emotions drive attorney fees and costs, and anxiety, and so much needless pain that doesn't need to be there. if you just switch the wording from conflict resolution to solution resolution and focus on how are we going to move forward. It doesn't matter at this time who is to blame. What matters at this time is how we are going to come together and use knowledge from everybody, wisdom from all countries, and handle the problems and get to an equilibrium that can sustain humanity. Because if we don't do that, there is extinction, and science proves that. And then the 10th code is practicing constant progressing as a global unity. And this is really a reference to Maslow's hierarchy of needs and a few other experts that I can't remember the name of right now, but Maslow is he came up with a pyramid. But instead of thinking of the hierarchy of needs as a pyramid where, only a few get to have the top level, we need to approach it as if we're all starting, the whole global earth is starting at the bottom foundation with their basic needs. And then once the basic needs are covered, we get to cover the belonging and the love, and then we get to cover transcending eventually. And so I like to call it the Maslow sphere. And the way that we can traverse or progress through Maslow's sphere is really through a simple application, which I'm going back to school to learn how to code and make all this stuff because I have not been able to find an app builder that's been willing to donate their services for free to do it. But this is number 10 is about empowering everyone and reaching out to everyone and connecting with everyone and giving them the tools to empower themselves, educate themselves, connect with others, because that is possible and it needs to happen. And then the 11th code is practicing contributing to humanity, which currency is to reward rather than inhumanity, and judgment is dependent on the value added. There are beliefs out there that taking advantage of others so long as you make a profit is a-okay and what our systems are all about, but that is not the reality of a sustaining economical and ecological system. It transforms humans into commodities or resources to be drained, and that's not what humans are here to do. Humans are here to enjoy life, explore life, come up with wisdoms, and share and be a community. And we're not allowed to do that, not even in the United States. And then the 12th code would be practicing accountability and no corruption or interest. Because those with money are always going to have money. But again, that money is at this time rewarding inhumanity actions, and that is leading to the downfall or the extinction point. And we don't have sufficient accountability standards. And I don't know the term for it, but whatever anonymous is, that group is highlighting in a very vivid and effective way how we do not have proper accountability. And by accountability, I mean making sure people aren't taken advantage of. And I know that there's no like anti-corruption committee, because I actually personally have tried to report corruption and was laughed off and dismissed, and there's no progress in that area, and that really does need to be addressed. And so that is the last point of the code, which I have come to know from my experiences in life. And I guess I will, hold on, how much time do I have? All right, I will tell you about my first adult transcending experience, and it was at work. I'm an attorney, and I used to work at a law firm, and I was under incredible stress, and I use different visual mental tricks, which we can get into later, but they weren't working. And one of the tricks involves a list that pops up when I need to do something, in order to be a competent attorney. And I was getting into the red zone, and so I was super stressed, and it was in the middle of the day, and all of a sudden I remember just being in a very dark box, and I was in reality I was in my office, but this is a hallucination or a transcending experience where I lifted the top of the box, and there was a figure with its back towards me, and I could see spindles, neon blue spindles of like information tracks, and I knew that they were different projects my mind was working on, but there was no indication from the way that the spindles operated to tell me that. I just knew it. And then the figure noticed me, turned around, and had the face was blurry, but I could tell through the blurriness that it was shocked that I had interrupted its operations. And then it did like a cover up, like a smirk, and handed me the list I needed of a to-do list to get the filing done I needed for the case. And then the figure shut the lid, and I was back into a black box it was just pure black. And then I exited the hallucination and got back to work and had my list. The lists were not new to me, because that's how I managed my perhaps overactive thinking. But seeing that figure and completely going into a different reality or plane, whatever you want to call it, I wasn't in my office in my mind at that time. I was in a box and opened it, and I knew I was looking into my mind and the blue spindles of energy, like traffic, almost traffic lines, were the different thoughts that I was having. And it wasn't until maybe a year later that I was looking into Buddhism, and it was totally a Buddhist lookalike, and I couldn't tell if it was male or female. But that began this transcending journey, and I used to call the Buddha my moderator, but I've come to know it now as the One, and that's where we will have to leave it for today, and I look forward to talking with you later. Have a good day. Bye.